Before we start, I would like to ask your help to do two things. First, tell a friend or two who you think might like the show. And second, please rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. The more reviews the show gets, the more likely it will even appear in search results. Thank you, and now on to the show.
They make the trek out to Burning Man for a week and a day. After a lot of work, oh, there's a lot of play. Party, 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 drama, 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 bitch, bitch, bitch. Year after year, they come back to scratch that itch. They all say their lives have been changed. After many years, lives have been rearranged. That change is what this show is all about. You'll see the impact of Burning Man up and out. So sit back, relax, and cancel all your plans. These are the stories about the shadow of the man.
Hello, and welcome to the Shadow of the Man Show. I'm your host, Andy, that lovable pollinator. No, that Andy. Today, our guest is the one, the only ladybee. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. I was there in Hawaii with you right about now.
So, ladybee, so you said you went 28 years straight. So what was your first year, and what
95.
95? And so how did you hear about it? Like, what got you to go? Like, what?
Okay, so I had moved to San Francisco from New York in 1991. And let's see, I read about it. There was an article in 1995 in what I think was the Bay Guardian at the time about this event in the desert. And I thought, that sounds interesting. And my girlfriend had a truck and she said, yeah, I saw that too. Let's go out there. It was 3 days long at the time. We knew nobody, we knew nothing about it. So I went out there and I was thrilled because the thing I loved about it was, yeah, okay, this is a bunch of people like me who are disgusted with our horrible consumer culture and lack of community and all that stuff. But they're not just whining about it. They're, first of all, really smart people. And second of all, they're doing something about it. They're creating their own little city away from all this. So I was greatly impressed. And when I was out there, I met Miss P. Siegel, who's a used to be a very well-known figure in the community, probably not so much anymore. But she had a little cafe, she had one little coffee pot set up on a table, and there were two guys in front of me, and I was the third in line. I thought, oh, this poor woman, I'll kind of try to talk to these guys and distract them while they're waiting for their coffee so they don't get upset with her. And I met her and told her my little story. And she said, oh, if you just moved here and you want to have more fun in San Francisco, join the Cacophony Society. And I said, of course, what is that? And she told me. So after the 3 days at Burning Man, I was very inspired. And I went back, and that was late, that was September 95. And by Christmas, I knew everybody, Larry, Marion, Harley, all the founders, lots of other, Egg Chair Steve, all kinds of other people in the community. And I was quite thrilled. And there was a group there was an early Burning Man email list called the Diox list or something. And it was an email list, and I was on there, and I was having to quickly think of a new email. I was just getting email. I had to think of an email address. I did one. Sorry, that's taken. I was going to be Ladybugs. I like insects a lot. I collect them. I'm really into insects. So I thought, oh, how about B? I guess I'll be Lady B. And that was the nickname that stuck like glue on this Burning Man email list. I couldn't stop it. Everyone started calling me Lady B. And it was actually okay because my real name is Christine Kristen. Christine with a CH, Kristen with a K. I always get the same three comments from everyone. Oh my God, your first name's the same as your last name. No, actually it isn't. Well, wait a minute, how do you spell that? And then I have to spell it. And then they always say, what were your parents thinking? It's like, I don't know. I was, 12 hours old. How would I know what they were thinking? But Lady B's kind of better. It's a goofy name, but it's easier than trying to spell my real name and all that. So I got on this email list, and there was a group that I became friends with called the Diox group. And they started, God, what's the name of their village? The Blue Light District at Burning Man, which has been going forever. And I camped with them for several years. And they're still existing. We went on like every weekend there was a costume party, a camping trip, something. It was quite fun. So I went again in 96, which was a difficult year, but also a good year in some ways. And I was in the opera that year, Pepe's opera.
Oh, you were.
No, wait, not Pepe's opera. It was the Helco procession,
Oh, okay.
devil or something in the Helco thing. Which was actually a very cool performance, I must say. Although it was not a good year, and that's the year that set us off on the path of rules in society, which is why I'm sure John told you John and Larry split off because of that. John felt like it was just a goofy kind of outsider event and small, and it should stay like that. And Larry said, "No, I want to influence the whole world. This should be bigger. Let's have a real city and have principles and blah blah blah." So I get why John left, and John is a good friend of mine, and he's
Hmm.
never nasty about Burning Man with me. He'll say,
Uh,
"No, I know the art's really interesting. There's some good stuff," but just personally, he had a falling out with Larry, and there's several people that have had fallings out with Larry that
yeah.
don't go
Well, I
anywhere.
think with John, like he kind of like it's just kind of small, right? And
Yeah.
just not really like institutional. And
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
even like the whole like Santa Rampage thing.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see the documentary that came out?
No, I'm really not that interested in it. I went to the first one in San Francisco. It was really small and really fun. And then I think the next year when was when they flew to Seattle or something, I
Or
didn't go.
Portland, yeah,
But like I
yeah,
said, when the popular culture gets its hands on something, it's always ruined. And that's
yeah.
the Burning Man. Not that it's ruined. I mean,
Well, it's evolved into something different.
what's that?
It's evolved into something different.
Yeah, and I just, I do as I'm retired, you probably know for about a year now, but I still do the Meltwater media feed on Mondays as a
What's that?
volunteer because I find it interesting, and it's a feed that we subscribe to, and you get forever, whichever dates you select, you get every newspaper, magazine, article, video with Burning and Man in the title or the content. So a lot of it's irrelevant. Burning this, whatever. But I go through all that and I archive the press articles and the video, YouTube videos, and then we've got an archive of all that stuff. But I
Hmm.
find it interesting. I kind of like reading what's going on and what all that. But I'm also on Facebook and I see a lot of the naysayer stuff. And what kills me the most is the people that have never been to Burning Man, but they're going to tell us how fucked up it is, and they're going to tell us
Yeah.
it's a pagan ritual, or they're going to tell us it's demonic. And you get these goofy Christian guys. I think, don't these people have anything better to do? They've never been, but they're going to spend an hour talking about how it goes against Christ's teachings or whatever. Now, I'm not a Christian, mind you.
Hmm.
Anything, I'm sort of a Buddhist, but it just gets me crazy that the ignorance is kind of stunning sometimes.
Yeah. Well, like, it's across the spectrum. I remember seeing running across something on social media where I'm not sure what was the latest thing for people to get upset about. Maybe it was the Epstein files or something,
Yeah.
or what's his name? Trump's brother, or not Trump, Elon
Yeah.
Musk's brother. Yeah. Uh, but there was somebody who has made this poster was just like, you know what, like it's like I was planning on going to Burning Man for the first time this year, but now I'm not. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna camp by myself in this other like remote lake bed and stuff. And it was funny because like people were just kind of just like, fine, like go camp by
Okay.
yourself. But yeah, but it's just funny people kind of coming out of the woodwork, which is like it's like I didn't read your book, but let me tell you about how I hated
Yes,
it, or
exactly.
yeah.
No, it's very annoying. Like, and they say things that aren't true and just annoying. It mostly I don't bother responding. Every now and then I will. Like somebody recently, what was it? Posted some little video about this woman and her dog at Burning Man. And I said, excuse me, there's no dogs at Burning Man. And a lot, I will say one thing. Before AI, the media feed was pretty interesting. And now it's twice as long and really annoying because a ton of these ridiculous AI videos, which is pretty much babes of Burning Man, right? Here's the woman at Burning Man. And then, it's like Burning Man is the last thing that needs AI. It's already weird and goofy enough, right?
Yeah.
But nope, the AI's got it. So that's annoying to me. And then the second annoying thing that happens now is all these endless DJ videos of their set. Oh God, make it stop. So I kind of curate the news, right? It has to
Hmm.
be an article that is actually about Burning Man, not an article about festivals that just refers to Burning Man.
Hmm.
No AI videos, no DJ videos, and no Christian religious Burning Man's a satanic cult videos.
Hmm.
So I put down actual, mostly participant generated videos about their experience or just basically decent articles about it.
Yeah. I do have to say I really enjoyed the Mark Day,
Oh, he's
his
great. Yeah.
yeah, his AI. Like 'cause he's come out with some incredible things. Like I remember there was a series of God, what was it like box action figure kind of things, but like each one was based on like an
Yeah.
archetype. Like
Yeah. That was
it
funny.
was hilarious. So okay, so some of my listeners have actually never been to Burning Man. Some of them are kind of new. So like, what was your position within the organization all
Oh,
these years?
well, let's see. When I started getting involved with Larry and the founders and all that, they had a show at the first show ever at an art museum, which was the San Francisco Art, not art, San Francisco Arts Commission gave us a big show. And Larry and I had been on an email list talking with the Vicky Olds, who had hired to curate it. And I said to her, this is my background. I have an MFA from the Chicago Art Institute. I was making art in New York, got disgusted, completely disgusted by the art world, moved to San Francisco, found Burning Man. And so I had emailed her, I can help you with this. And of course, they did need help. So I remember they hired me for 1 month to help curate this show. And in that process, I realized, oh my God, I'm a way better curator than maker of art. I had stopped making art. I wasn't sure why I was doing it. I hated the art world. And I thought, God, I spent my whole life in art school. What now? And then because of that, I realized, oh my God, I'm a really good curator. I have serious aesthetics and, you know. So what happened then? Oh, Larry knew that I knew about art, and Larry hired me to start and run the art grant program in 1999. He told me about it, and I remember when I worked with him on that show at the Art Commission Gallery, and I told him, this is really great. I love curating the art. If this could be a job, this is the only job I want because I was freelancing in book production, basically before computers happened, and. So in 99, he called me and it was great. Said, would you like to run the new art grant program? I'm like, yes, please sign me up. So for the first 10 years, I was just called the art curator. And then I left for a couple of years to work for Burning Man startup, which crashed in '08, like everything else. And then I went back to Burning Man as the archivist and the art collection curator. So I hang all the art at the office. I get photos and have them mounted by our printer, who's a burner, lives close to the office, which is at 19th and Alabama in the Mission in San Francisco. So I've hung all the art in the office, which is my style is more, not less is more. So every inch is packed with art. And then I run 8 archives. I manage them, which sounds like a lot of work, but it isn't really that bad. It's Playa Artifacts, which is all the things that people make and gift on Playa, jewelry, stickers, patches, all that stuff. That's the really fun archive, of course. It's all
Yeah,
in
yeah.
boxes in the office in the archive room. And the media archive is another one that I told you about, Meltwater Feed where I archive, press articles and videos and stuff. What else is there? The regional archives, which is all the things people make and gift at the regionals. We have a photo archive and with tons and tons of stuff. And that's actually online. I feel bad because people don't seem to know about it anymore. It's gallery.burningman.org, and it used to be called the photo gallery or the image gallery. And that's every year a Burning Man widely documented in photos that participants submit. So you should check it out. So you could look up things like that's where I got the temporal decomposition shot. I just went in gallery and searched temporal decomposition, saw all the photos. It's a great resource, which I think is probably not so well known anymore.
I'll put it in the show notes too. Yeah, yeah,
Please do, because I
yeah.
wish more people knew about that. What else? What else? Can't
Well, how
even.
much of these archives are actually like other than the photos? Like, how much of it's online or people can see? Like all of these like
Well,
artifacts and stuff. I mean, they like
Maya Artifacts
digitized?
Museum is so great. We haven't put a lot of it online, although a lot of it ends up in the photo gallery.
Uh-huh.
But there's this great guy, Paul DeLathiver, who started his own website, which you should definitely check out, which is his collection and archiving of everything ever made at Burning Man. Let me just quickly check that. I can't remember the title of it, but I will. I just look at my
What was his name?
Paul Delather.
Hmm, how do
And
you spell
let's
that?
see here. Just looking him up because I want to give you the right. Yeah,
Yeah.
playamakers.com. Have at it. It's so much fun. And anybody can submit a thing they've made or a thing they've collected and give him whatever information they have. But I always laugh because I think, Burning Man, I was the hired archivist, but really Paul DeLathaber is archiving all the material culture in a really great way. Ours isn't public, really. And then there's another guy, T-Bone Todd from Lake Tahoe, who has something called the Playa Artifacts Museum, which is his huge collection of everything people gift him and give him for the museum, and then he frames it all, and it's really quite nice. And he does it at Burning Man every year, and he also did it at Unscrews last year, and maybe this year too.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna be there in less than a month. I'll be able to check that
Well,
out.
I'm still waiting to get tickets because they sold out in 15 minutes, and we couldn't get tickets. But I've stopped going to Burning Man as of last year, but
Uh,
we found Unscrews last year and really loved it. What's not to like? It's like a 2-hour drive from San Francisco. No playa dust, no heat, no
yeah.
desert. Grass, theme camps, they burn something. Yeah, great. Thank you.
I saw recently. I think they had either maybe like another batch of tickets going on sale or
They did?
something, or like if you go to like their Facebook
Yeah, I haven't
group, I
really been
think
paying attention. I should.
yeah,
So cool. If I go to the Facebook group, I might score a couple tickets.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And then I don't know. I
No.
mean, I figured they must know you. You're known around. He's like, ah, I
Yep.
have to talk to. Oh,
As you
who's this? We have an
consider
extra
relief from
guest.
head,
There he is.
face, and throat,
Hey, this
let
is
the
my
relaxation
interview,
flow
not
down the
yours.
back of your head, down your neck and
Uh-oh.
shoulders.
Is that some sort of meditation thing?
What is that?
Smooth out all those muscles
Oh
and just
God.
let
Well, I
them
don't know why I started. Hold on here.
Unless that's the cat telling you to
imagine the
relax.
muscles of your shoulders
Okay, hold on.
as
Where the
being
hell
like
did that?
tiny knotted ribbons.
Up there.
You just want to
See,
untie
ladybee has the
them,
magic talking
let
cat that
them loose.
Okay.
tells you to relax.
No, I'll just, if you need an explanation there. Um,
No, that's
I have
okay.
essential tremor. I got it from my father. It's in your hands. You don't
Uh,
see it much now, but if I hold something like in my finger, my hand will start to shake. And my mom had it, and she was like this when she was in her 90s, and I don't want to get like that because I won't be able to touch
uh,
stuff. And so I'm working with him. He's the guy who founded the SF Biofeedback Institute. He's a burner, a really nice guy. And it's really working. He teaches you how to do this total relaxation thing, and it relaxes the muscle in your forearm that causes the tremor. And he's helped me a lot. So that's a
uh,
thing of his that I do.
yeah. I have to keep my cat. I have to close the door because she's always like
Oh.
stepping on the keyboard. Yeah. So, okay.
You
So
saw my
you,
cat. You saw what my cat just did, right?
yeah,
Very
yeah.
common. It's very common. They're always getting on the
So
keyboard.
like, it would be good for an interview right now. Yeah. So in '95 you go, you meet Miss P. So how did you? Oh, so you started doing the cacophony. And you started
Yeah.
like meeting
Started
everybody.
going to the cacophony events, which were super fun.
Hmm. You're
And
hanging out at 1907 Golden Gate.
oh, absolutely, all the time. Because that's right. Pete would have these fabulous salons, I think once a month. And
Hmm.
that was really my great introduction to Larry and Marianne and everybody that was running Burning Man because they all went to P's things. And P is actually the one who thought of the Black Rock Desert as an event site in 1990 when they couldn't do it on the beach anymore. That was P.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, she had I guess one of her roommates. God, I'm now like totally
Are you going
spacing.
to interview her or have you?
Oh, Miss P. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I already interviewed her. She came
Cool.
out a couple of weeks ago.
She's great. I'm very fond of her.
Yeah. Um, I'm totally
One of
blowing
her
his
roommates
name
was
now.
going
One
or
of
something.
her, well, one of her roommates had gone out to the Black Rock Desert in like '89 or something, and I
Yeah,
think Miss P might have went, and there was some sort of like
that's right. Yeah.
like sculptural thing, like where it was like wind powered sculpture
Yeah,
like
that's
event.
Bill Bins and the hell was that called?
Yeah,
As I like to say, my memory is aging a lot faster than I am. I'm 74, right? And that
yeah,
thank God my
yeah.
husband has a really good memory. As long as one of a couple can remember stuff, that's good. But if you both can't remember anything, not so good.
Yeah.
Anyhow, what the hell is that called? Temporary autonomous zone? No, that's what Hakeem Bey called it, man. Desert
Yeah.
Site Works.
I
I
think that
remembered something.
that might have come.
Right.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the sequence, but anyway, so they went out there in the year before, and this her roommate, which I'm totally blanking on his name right now, he kind of came up with this whole concept of bringing, because he was like in art school, and he brought some of his artwork out there, and I guess
Oh,
there was some things that.
Benson. Bill
Hmm?
Benson. William Benson.
No,
No, William Benson was the other thing, not Burning Man. I don't remember the guy's name. I probably knew him, but I can't think of it.
but anyway, so he brought some of his artwork out there and then like burned it. And I mean, so, and then he was the one who kind of found like Hakeem Bay and the whole idea of like the temporary autonomy zone, this and that. And I remember like he came back and he was telling everybody, and
Brian Doherty?
no,
You know
oh,
about Brian, right?
poor Brian. Yeah. And so he just, at the time of this recording now, this is April 4th. It's like, yeah, he passed away like just
Mm.
recently.
Which was a great shock and a great reminder to all of us. Just cherish every day of your life because anything can happen to any of us at any time.
So do you know what happened? Like all I heard was that he was hiking and there was
He was
something.
I think it was in Sausalito or something. He was climbing, they were on a beach and he was climbing up onto a cliff, rocky thing to read poetry to a group of people. And he had a bad leg and he had a cane and he just took a wrong step and fell down into the ocean and they found his body the next day.
Oh.
It's so random. It's just like everybody cherish your every day because you never know what's coming.
Was he just by himself?
No, he had a group of people and he was going to get up. He was going up, standing up them above them to read poetry, which he loved doing when he fell. Oh, so in a sense, they always say that, we should all be so lucky as to be doing something we love and then just boom, you're dead. Like gardening or you're making art or something. And in a sense, he kind of had that. He was about to read his poems to people, which he loved, and then bye.
Yeah. It
He was only 57. Jesus, young
yeah,
guy.
I know. Yeah. Well, it's crazy. Like he was on my list, my wish list of people to interview, and I was like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
I'll get around to him in like in about
Yeah.
2 months or something. I was like, he'll be around, and like, oh no. No. So
Well,
anyway,
I'm
the
at the
person.
age where people are starting to leave the party, and I'm thinking, oh my God, it's just going to get worse and worse because all my friends, many of them are in their 70s, some are 80, and
And not
yeah.
all of us take care of ourselves.
How old are you?
I'm 55,
Ooh, young thing.
Yeah. But like, I quit smoking a number of years
Good.
ago. I now drink like once a week instead of like once a day.
Yeah, good, good.
Like, so I've been attempting to, do better, do better.
Good.
Yeah.
I think
But
as you get older, you just do because, you've been around, you've done everything, and it's not like you
yeah,
go and like
you
try drugs
do,
or something. Oh, did
or
that
you
50
don't
years
get
ago.
older, right?
What's that?
It's like you either do or you
You
don't get
don't. Yeah.
older. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the person's name I was thinking was Kevin Evans.
Yeah, that's right. And I didn't know him, but sometimes people will contest P's claim to have thought of the Black Rat Desert, and they say, no, it was really Kevin Evans, but who cares, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what I heard was that, okay, so Kevin and Miss Pete and like some people went out to their Black Rock Desert in '89 and did this wind powered like
Oh,
art
yeah.
event, whatever. And then they
Oh,
came back, and then everything happened with Burning Man or not Burning Man, like the burning of the man at Baker Beach in 1990, where they couldn't actually burn
yeah.
the man, right? And then they were hanging out at 1907 Golden Gate, and like, oh, what are we gonna do? And so the story that I was told was that, you know, the Black Rock Desert was brought up as an idea, and Larry at first was just like, what? No. Like he actually
Probably.
didn't like the idea like at first, and then kind of had to be kind of convinced,
Yeah.
and it was more of like a cacophony like zone trip sort of
Yes.
thing, like featuring like the Burning Man,
Yeah.
whatever. And then from like interviewing like Paradox Pollock and some of the people who've been there like in the early years, it seemed like there's a number of different things that kind of happened there, like those first few years, like you're saying, like Desert Site Works,
Yeah.
uh trying to think like some of the other things like going on there, and so I think like in 96, when everything kind of went crazy and burned down,
Mm,
like and reached ahead, like it was there was definitely like an inflection point. And so it was
yes.
either like we are saying, like John Law was just of the camp of like, we like this kind of small scale thing that's unorganized, whatever. Like, let's, if it has to die, it must die. And then like
Yeah.
Larry, who I think, you know, saw this as his. I mean, I think eventually he would finally see it as like his life's work. Whenever,
Yeah.
like his reason for being, he
Hmm.
wanted it to be like a movement, or he wanted more people to like. So I think that was the direction that he, kind of shepherded in, and
Yeah.
and other people came along with him. I mean, a lot of people left. If you read Coyote's book,
Hmm.
and with like Will Roger, and so rebuilding DPW, and talking to Marion and Harley, it's like those were some very formative years, right? I
Hmm.
mean, we had to like incorporate, and they had to like work with the government. And
Yeah.
yeah, and then there was the whole like 97, the year when there was on the Wallapai Playa, and was the different jurisdiction, right? And then the
Well,
sheriff took all the money.
yeah, they thought that that would help having it on private land, and it was even worse because cops came and seized all the tickets, gate money. It was outrageous. And then
Hmm.
Larry at the end, this at the end, Larry got up and spoke and said if people can donate, we'd be very grateful. And I think people who donated a certain amount got
Yeah,
2 tickets a year for life or something.
I know. That's funny because I have a couple of friends who got that. My one friend Curtis Coleman. God, who else? Oh, I think George Papp also bought one. I remember at the time thinking, it's like, if only I had like, was like $500 or something.
Yeah,
You had a ticket to Burning Man for life. Like,
I think it was 500, but
yeah, but
it was nice. The community everybody stepped up and helped out, and yes, as you know, the rest is history, as they say. But yeah,
yeah.
the idea wasn't so great, and now we actually own that land, which is Fly.
Oh, yeah.
So,
So when you went back in like your second year in 1996, I mean, did
mhm.
you, were you already just kind of like part of like the organizing group of people, or
It's
what was your
that.
involvement?
Let's think, 96.
You said
Well,
Helco, right? You were working with
yeah, I was
that.
briefly, had a small role in the Helco thing. So yeah, I knew the staff and those people, but mostly I said it was this group called the Diox group that formed the Blue Light District, and we would have parties and campouts pretty much every weekend, and
Hmm.
lots of costume stuff and goofy things. So I, camped with them for years. And then I camped with the Mansonian Institute starting in, gosh, maybe 2000 or something. That was really fun. That's David Silverman, who's the Simpsons cartoonist.
Oh, the flaming tuba. Like,
Yeah, Tuba Man, Flaming Tuba Man.
yeah, yeah.
And then in 2016, I had known Leo Villarreal from the beginning because he started coming even before I did, or maybe it was 95 too. And he's brought his father once, and was always doing light stuff out there. And what was my point here? I was saying something about him, lifetime burners.
We talk about like when you went back, Blue Light District, and some
Hmm.
friends.
Oh, yeah. So in 2016, Leo asked Beto and I, my husband, to camp with them in Disorient, and we've been with them ever since. And that's become it's a very interesting camp with people from all over the world, and we've become good friends with many of them. And they have an event in New York every May called Country Club, and we've started going to that. So that's kind of our new Burning Man. And it's not really Burning Man, but it's sort of like that. But it's on a site. One of the people in the group has a house on the site. There's a river to swim in and trees, and it's really pretty fabulous.
Is it like upstate, or is it like more on
Oh
Long
yeah,
Island?
it's in Shandaken,
Hmm.
upstate New York. And Beto, my husband, has a little house in not El Sprate, in Lance Bay, which is quite a small town in the Catskills. So he goes up every year that time anyway to check on the house. So I just started going with him and going to country club. Yeah,
Ah.
Carrie is now.
Today's your lucky day.
Uh-oh, male. Good. So Andy, come here. This is my husband, Beto.
Hello.
Hi, pleasure to meet you.
This is
Likewise.
Andy, who lives in Hawaii.
Yeah, we're doing
Hawaii.
a little interview for my show called the Shadow of the Man.
The
We'll
Shadow
talk.
of the Man.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it's all about how like Burning Man has impacted and influenced people. So
Yeah,
we're getting Lady B's here's story.
cool.
So yeah,
Yeah.
Beto, we met in December 2013, and he had gone to Burning Man once in '96.
96, yeah.
And I felt like, okay, he had experienced that. I said, well, darling, that's about to change. So he's been every year now with me since 2014.
Ah. So you said 2024 was your last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you, I mean, just say like, forget it, you're never going again, or like, I think like most people I know who've been gone for a while, and they're like, well, I'll take some time off. It's like maybe if you're like, you know what, Santorini might be kind of fun this year,
No,
or something
honestly,
else.
Beto said he's done and he does all the heavy lifting, and I don't rule it out. It's like maybe we'll go again someday, but it has changed a lot. And like I tell you, I see all these Burning Man naysayers, and I always say to them, if you don't like it, just don't go. But what's the point of, publicly shaming Marion or publicly saying how trashed Burning Man is? You just don't go if you
Yeah.
don't like it.
Well, it's one
And
of the constants of people is the entire time is that people will always say that, oh, Bernie, it's not like it was before.
well,
You know,
nothing
people
is
in
like it
90,
was 40 years ago.
but like in 96, people were like, it's not like it was in
Yeah.
1990. You know, in 2005, it's like, it wasn't like it was in 1996. And now people are like, oh, it wasn't like it was in 2010, or, you know.
Like I said, I see all the Burning Man naysayers, and what I have to say on the subject is, yes, of course it's changed, but it's not like it's all influencers and rich people and
Oh, no.
DJs. No, I mean, there's a lot of hardcore, hard, long-time burners that still go. There's plenty of people that still get the 10 principles and put on a cool theme camp, and
Hmm.
all that stuff is still there. It's just a lot of things now. Yeah, there's the rich people. Okay, they're their thing. And then there's the influencers and all that stuff. And then there's the early burners and people that actually get Burning Man. I mean, anything you want to find, it's there.
Yeah.
And that's a sickening else. You're like, oh yeah, it's a hippie pagan love. No, there's nothing. I've been 28 burns. I've never met a pagan. And it's not a party, it's a temporary community. It's a global, worldwide community on we have 100 regional events on 6 continents. And
Hmm.
Larry always said someday Black Rock City is going to go away and it's going to be all about the regionals. And honestly, I think that time is near, because what worse place is there to hold an annual event than a desert as global warming unfolds, right? Uh, We already had one
Yeah.
year, it was 117 degrees a couple of years ago. I'll never forget that. You couldn't function. We sat in our air-conditioned van all day. It's the
Wow.
last thing you want to be doing at Burning Man, right? That was,
Well,
but I think, it seems likely to me it's just going to get too hot eventually to have it. But who knows? The weather now is completely unpredictable. Nobody knows anything about what's
yeah.
coming. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's also, like I said, like I'd taken 13 years off and I came back, and I mean, yes, a lot of things were different, but so much of it was the same too. I
oh,
think that
good.
like
Yeah,
we're talking about like the things that we really love about it. You know, it's like it's still there. You know, I
of
think that
course.
the core of it's still there.
Absolutely. And the
Yeah.
main thing is the art. I mean, it's to me I was always very focused on the art, and people don't know this, but Burning Man is the single largest funder of arts in the state of California. Has
Right?
been for a long time. I think it used to be. I'm pretty sure it still is. Check Google that or something, because it may not be true anymore.
Hmm.
But they give over $1 million a year to art installations, and I've seen people get careers built out of Burning Man. Like, I'll give you a great example. Kate Bush, you know her. She does tons of stuff there. She
Yeah.
did. She was a photographer and was going there to take photos, and then she said to me at one point she didn't feel it was enough and she should make art, which she had never done. So she made a piece that was pretty good, and she just kept going, and now she's a full-time sculptor. She makes art installations for other events and other festivals, and doesn't have any art training. She's because of Burning Man that she became an artist. And another good one is Brian Tedrick, who's done like the Portal of Evolution, the big butterfly wings with the thingy womb thingy. It's now in Reno, and he one year I remember when I was art curator, I was out and I saw this beautiful piece he did that was a rotating fish made all from recycled metals, quite long, like 6 feet long, and you could spin the thing. And I went there every day hanging around hoping to meet the artist. Finally, he showed up and I said, told him who I was, I said, look, please apply for a grant. Your work is really good. He's like, oh, I make these metal gates and I'm pretty busy and I'll get around to it. And I pestered him for 2 years. Finally, he did gave us a grant, and the rest is history. He's done such great work there. And he didn't become an artist because of Burning Man. He was already an artist, but it set him on another path with his work. And yeah, so
Well,
I,
how much of
I'm
that do you think is like I don't know, like the some of this stuff might just be like latent, like inside of people, and like Burning Man, or like out in the playa, or even like regional events, to, it- just having the space to like radically express yourself,
yeah,
like because like in the rest of life, rest of society, which is
mm,
it's like, oh, you're too busy, oh, you have to like make
yeah,
money to like make your rent or whatever, or to
mm,
feed yourself or your family or whatever, or people just constantly telling you like, what why are you doing that? It's like you should be doing X, Y, or Z instead of like,
yeah,
but it's kind of giving a place at a space, where it's just, it's like, hey, like let your imagination
yeah,
run free, and just see what happens. And also, not only that, like look at the person over here, look at that person over there. It's like, look what they've done, and like, and you get like inspiration. It's like, I have this
totally.
crazy idea.
Yeah, it's been called a permission engine, right? Because people go out there and they see some cool installation and they think, huh, I could do something like this. And then they get a bunch of their friends and they get a crew together and they make art. So, it's inspired people all over the world. And the thing that was a big issue for me, because I was an art world person. I went, get an MFA from the Chicago Art Institute, lived in New York, had shows in galleries, all that stuff. And so when I was hired at first, I thought, well, this is good. Larry and I run the grant program. He and I look at the grant proposals, and we always pretty much saw eye to eye on stuff, which was pretty easy. But I was thinking, yeah, I just want to work with the funded art, the really good stuff. The rest of it, it's sort of crappy. And it took me years really to get over my snotty art world idea that, only these certain projects are good and there's just a lot of crap out there. And then after years of doing that, I realized, oh, this is great. This is, you don't have to have anything to do with art school or the art world. Anybody can come out here. And where else on the planet can you come, make a piece of art, put it out in a place where 80,000 people are going to look at it? Nowhere.
Mhm.
So that's very cool. So you can never have made art and you make something and you get a lot of feedback. People like it and then you keep going. And like I said, people have become artists because of Burning Man. And that was a radical idea because it's always been about the galleries. And now there's a lot more public art and also a lot more community-based art. And all over,
Mhm.
we see that all over the world now. You got any city you go to will have street art and public art, murals and art
Mhm.
everywhere. And sometimes I wonder if Burning Man had something to do with that because it did. The whole idea was to take art out of the, institutional art world and put it in the public for everybody where it belongs.
Yeah.
Really. And I'm
So
thinking, that might have something to do with Burning Man, that there's all this public art but also definitely people working together in crews. Because, from the art world I was from, it was all about you, your show, your gallery, your art. Nobody's going to make a mark on your work. Hell no. But at Burning Man, it's like, oh, communal art. A lot of people are going to work on this and build it together and gift it to the community. It was quite a radical idea, really. This was
yeah.
like, once somebody said to me, yeah, Burning Man's like art without the money. And they're like, "Well, in a way, that's true. There's still money that, people get grants and spend money doing it, but it's not like they're looking to sell it, even though now
Do they
there's,
mean more like the art in its purest form, or something,
oh,
which is like
yeah,
art for
you
art's
think
sake
about it.
instead of just for
Yeah,
money?
art for art's sake. And
Yeah.
now, of course, people will sell work after the burn, and people see work and they like it. And also the interesting new thing is that a lot of Burning Man art now has been installed as public art all over the country. And in San Francisco right now, they're having that Embarcadero
Oh
some art
yeah.
thing. And we went a couple weeks ago, and Michael Christian, one of Michael Christian's pieces is on the Embarcadero. El Nino has a piece. Not Kate Roddenberry, Dana Albany's Mermaid. And it's
Hmm.
all sitting out on the Embarcadero. Now they've got work in Golden Gate Park.
Like
What was it, that
the
piece?
captainess
Naga,
and
yeah, Naga and the
Naga.
Captain.
Yeah.
That's in Golden Gate Park now. And there's Burning Man art all over San Francisco and Reno too. So it's definitely contributed a lot to public art in the country. And of course,
Are there? I don't know. I just heard these
uh,
rumors or stories of like, are there people actually who like wealthy people going to Burning Man kind of like looking at it as not quite a shopping trip, but people kind of
Maybe.
like, it's just like, I would like to put that in my installation, or I would like to have this,
Well, actually, that Larry saw that as a really good thing because I remember when he did, I don't remember the year, but there was something about the Italian Renaissance, and that's what
Oh,
happened there.
Da Vinci's,
Yeah, Da
whatever.
Vinci's workshop. People
Yeah.
worked in guilds and learned skills, and it was all financed by the wealthy or the church. And well, that was the church, really. And Larry thought, so okay, so we have wealthy burners that come here now and then they buy art. Great, what's not to like? And I don't know that people go there intentionally to buy art, but even I have recently purchased a piece of Burning Man art. It's a good story, actually. My husband and I, after 9 years of looking, finally found property in the country. And you may have noticed I was walking through our house.
Mm.
Um, so we have this great house, an acre and a quarter. I spend tons of time weeding. I have OCD, right? But I like to say now I have OCWD. I think I said this before, right?
Well,
Obsessive
before we,
compulsive weeding disorder.
yeah.
We spent the whole morning weeding. Anyhow, so I have this friend, Scott Levkoff, aka Professor Violet, who runs the Mystic Midway stuff in San Francisco. And I think it was 2014, we did the Midway as the theme of Burning Man, and he brought his Mystic Midway crew into center camp, and there were all these different groups that had interesting interactive things in center camp. 2 years we did that. One year was caravansary, the souk. So people had these marketplace souks, but they were gifting everything. Even Larry had one. And
Hmm.
then the second year was Midway, so it was interactive art performance stuff. That's how I know Scott. So recently he posted on Facebook, um, that he was selling some of the giant teapots. Were you there the year that the British guy did it was called the Lost Tea Party? These
Mm.
5 or 6 giant teapots on long, long legs and wheels, and they would drive around the playa and they'd give people tea, and a really cool thing. So apparently this guy was a little crazy and he left his teapots on someone's property up here, supposedly to paying rent for storing them. And then he just never paid her rent and took off and went back to England. So she auctioned them off, and Scott somehow got wind of this and bought 5 of them. And
Oh.
then he said to me, well, I'm selling 3 of these. And I said, oh, really? Okay, well, let's go look at them. So we went to um, Obtainium Works in Vallejo. You may know Obtainium Works because of um, what was the name of the piece now? The Never Was Hall, the Victorian house on wheels that had been
Yeah.
burning man for years. So that was Shannon O'Hare's thing, and he runs Obtainium Works. So the teapots were being stored there. So I went over there, had this great time looking at all his recycled metal stuff and the teapots, and I bought the black and white one. So he's going to fix it up a little bit, and then it's being delivered on early in June. And I'm just thrilled. It's like I've never bought a giant piece of art before, and now I have. And it's a giant teapot, and it's going to be sitting on our front lawn. Cool.
Well, how far out do you live? Like in a suburb or something, and people can be like, "What is
No,
that crazy teapot in your
here, see that? That's my bedroom window.
lawn?" Oh, very nice.
It's called Two Rock, and it's an unincorporated area. It's west of Petaluma. It's about 10, 12 minutes from Petaluma.
Hmm.
And it's halfway between Petaluma and Point Reyes Seashore, and it's exactly where we wanted to be, north of the city and near to the ocean and near Petaluma, because I love Petaluma. And that's because of Burning Man, David Best, and all the artists, Michael Garlington, other artists that have made work.
It's
Um,
funny when I was interviewed Dan Miller, and he told me that way before 1986, I think it was like in 1976 or something, that Larry actually went to some event in Petaluma. It was like some raku. It was like a beach camping trip and raku firing thing. So I think, and he was saying
really?
that that was like the original kind of like inspiration in Larry's mind, like where he kind of first got this kind of idea of like, oh, people kind of camping out and fires and like,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's an apocryphal story, but like that's what, like, it's funny because like he said he was there, but he didn't know Larry at the time, and then later
Yeah.
on they became
Hmm.
like roommates. But yeah,
Well, I
another.
always think that Larry was probably inspired by Desert Site Works, because
Hmm.
that was going out in the desert. And I'm trying to think the guy's name who does it. actually been to their house and
Yeah. It
maybe
seems like there's a number of things that
William
all kind of,
Benson. William Benson, that was his name.
yeah.
So that was going on, and then I don't know, I don't know how
I think a
I
lot
answer
of,
the question how Larry thought of the idea of Burning Man. I don't know.
well, I think a lot of people nowadays think it's like, oh, it just sort of sprang whole cloth out of his breast, you know, but like, I think it's like
Oh,
over time, like this happened and that happened and then kind of got incorporated together. Even the whole like 10 principles, like some people think like, oh, Larry came down with these two stone tablets with these 10 principles like on the beach. And it's like, no,
you
no,
probably know
no.
that story. That's because the regionals were starting and they needed guidance
Yeah.
from us. And
It was
Larry
like
thought
2004 or something,
I
right?
should try
Yeah.
to write something, but he didn't invent those as guidelines or rules. He just identified stuff that was already going on in the community
Like
by,
participation was like, remember people used to always say no spectators. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
participation, radical inclusion, the gift economy, and people
Hmm.
were doing that. And it's not like Larry said, "Oh, we're going to have this event and we should do these things." No,
Even
they
leave
were
no
there.
trace. Like I remember
Yeah,
John
he
Law
already,
said like that was like a cacophony thing from
yeah,
for years going
yeah.
on. Like, yeah.
So he just identified community stuff that was already going on. He didn't.
Hmm. Yeah. So I have another question. We were talking about the whole like art world and Burning Man. Because like the I don't know what we want to call it the I mean years ago be like the I don't know like legit or like like art or like the big art world like the
Yeah,
Sotheby's or whatever it's like I'm sure they would want to have nothing to do with it's like some dirty people going out in the desert and doing
yeah.
like crazy things but then years go by and there's the Smithsonian like
I
burning up
know.
like and so talk about like this whole evolution of like I mean, so does Burning Man gone from like the outside to the inside and how inside is it now?
Hmm. Oh, that's an interesting question. Because I remember when I was first hired to run the art grant program, I wrote several pieces that are on the website. I may have sent them to you.
Yeah.
Called How I Fell from the Art World and Landed at Burning Man. I was determined that the art world should see what was going on up there and they should take it seriously because it wasn't just a bunch of crappy art. There was actually some very good art. So I went to New York. I remember I spoke at White Columns and Larry spoke at sorry, I can't remember the name of the place, but I was determined they should realize there was more art going on than in New York City. And now, I mean, I'm so uninvolved with the contemporary art world in New York. I have no idea who's popular and who's selling work and who isn't. I really could give a rat's ass about it, honestly. But like I said, I do think maybe Burning Man has influenced some sort of group art making, or I don't know. I could be wrong, but that system in New York is like that's the institutional art world. That's the system artists pretty much have to work with, but not all of them are. There a lot of artists have broken out of that and are doing public art and different kinds of things. So I don't know what the art world thinks about Burning Man these days because I'm completely detached from the art world. I do remember there's a guy I actually went to the Art Institute with, Jerry Saltz, who had become a big art critic in New York and was married to an art critic. And he was very pissy about Burning Man. And then he went one year and he loved it, apparently. So then he started saying nice things about Burning Man. But like I said, I'm so not in touch with any kind of institutional art world stuff. Couldn't tell you. Leo
Mm.
Villarreal is a great example. He's a blue chip, worldwide, well-known artist. He just did 15 bridges over the River Thames in England. He might still be working on that.
Oh
And they
yeah.
just did a fabulous relaunching of the Bay Lights on the Oakland Bay Bridge. That's Leo Villarreal, who's a longtime burner. He's gone every year since 94, 95. And he once told me that no matter how busy he gets, he will never miss a Burning Man because it's his think tank in the desert. And he's so crazy busy. I don't know how he can even go anymore, but he comes out there and his wife comes now and he still goes. He's in Disorient was the camp he started. So,
Hmm.
he's an example of probably the one blue chip artist who goes to Burning Man every year and makes art and would totally defend Burning Man. But I don't know. There was one other sculptor who came one year, liked it. I can't even remember who it was. But Leo
Hmm.
is it's pretty exceptional that he's as widely known as he is and will never miss a Burning Man. And he
Yeah.
also has a light piece on the front of Disorient, and you can sit there and watch him program it. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Funny
Uh,
how the Bay Lights just reopened. That was a big deal, and he was in town, and a lot of people, there were two different events celebrating that because they were off for quite a while.
Yeah. Well, Brittany, I mean, Black Rock City is also a great place to for people who gets to like to I guess what I would call networking, right? I mean, it's
Yeah,
not just for the
sure.
dot commerce or like, but like people can come get inspiration. I mean, I think also another thing I was thinking about, like we're talking about like a this kind of permission structure or just of the playa giving like people like inspiration, but I think also for people to kind of like look and see, just like this person's an official artist and look what they're doing and be like, not only like I can do that, but you know what? I have an idea. I can do like something better,
Hmm.
or just kind of giving themselves the permission to be like, oh, I didn't even realize I could do this, but now, like, let's try. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, interestingly, after years of running the art grant program, I came to the conclusion that cooperation is such a better way to do stuff than competition. Competition
Hmm.
is like pits people against each other. And yeah, okay, people will always argue like, no, competition is good because then people compete and do better and everything gets better. Well, okay, the Olympics, sure, we have that kind of competition. Yeah, that's great. I'll give you that. But in the art world, why compete about anything? And I don't know,
Yeah.
I just realized that watching all these groups of artists work, there'd be like Michael Christian and then people that help him, and then another artist and his group of people
Hmm.
that work on his thing. And they're not hired workers like many famous artists have crew that they pay to make their stuff. No, it's just like people having this experience together and everything that comes with that, and then putting it out for the public at Burning Man and everything that comes from that. I mean, it's just, to my mind, like I said, collaboration way better than competition for
Yeah.
art making. And I don't know what else, but
I
by the
mean,
way,
there's.
I'll just point out to you, you'll notice behind me, that is an
Oh,
artist named Dadara from Amsterdam.
mm-hmm.
Today probably nobody knows about him because he hasn't come for a while, but he's a very successful, well-known artist in Amsterdam. And he came years ago and made a beautiful boat. What was that thing called? The Lost Ark or something. Really nice boat, and it had a lot of his art pieces on it. And then he came several years after that and did big installations.
Oh,
That was a
wow.
map he did, and I just thought that was really nice.
Yeah, that's
Burning Man,
beautiful.
I don't
Yeah.
know if you can see, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, I
there's
can
up
see.
in
Yeah,
the
that's
top.
beautiful.
There's the
Yeah.
ship on the left, and then up in the top right corner, you can see that's the Burning Man bit there.
Ah, okay.
I don't know if you can see
Oh,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Anyhow,
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's like friendly competition on the
yeah,
playa, like I was interviewing Kay Morrison, like the Iron Monkeys and
Bill
like
Morrison, yeah.
and then like and the Flaming Lotus Girls,
Mhm.
it's just like I mean there's sort of like a friendly rivalry, but
Yeah.
it's I mean maybe perhaps you can inspire each other to greatness, but it's not like tear each other down. It's more,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And then also another thing I always pops into my head was just that I don't know where this came from, but it's just comparison is the best tool of the devil.
Hmm.
Where it's like don't look like over at your neighbor's yard and be like, oh, I wish it,
Yeah,
it's just like just be happy with what you have. But like I said, like friendly company, you can inspire other people to like, we can inspire each other.
yeah. The competition thing is a very Western idea, which I didn't know. I started getting into Taoism,
Mm-hmm.
Japanese, Buddhist kind of thing. And the Taoists have said that, Asian cultures didn't have that good, better, best, compare, contrast thing, compete.
Hmm.
And that was a sort of a product of Western culture, which may or may
Really?
not be true. But I thought that was very interesting that there would even be a culture that didn't compete and that didn't have good, better, best. And it was just, oh, that's nice, that's good. Okay. They didn't bother like getting into the comparing and all that. Interesting idea, because that's our
Yeah.
natural tendency, I think. You want to compare things that are similar and,
Yeah.
you know?
But also, when 1990, when they drew that line in the Playa dust, and
Mhm.
there's the whole idea of the temporary autonomy zone. It's like we're creating something new and different, and this is sort of a
Yeah.
different culture that's now kind of seeded the world as well, right? So it's like, yeah, we can do something different, right? So, okay, let's get on to the second question. Your pre Burning Man experience, your background. So you grew up in
Oh,
New York area?
Yeah, I was born in Des Plaines, Illinois, O'Hare
Oh,
Airport land, suburb of Chicago.
oh,
And I went to grad school at the Art Institute of Chicago, but I had gone traveling after I finished college, and I had a friend who was in the Peace Corps in Marrakesh, and I was so impressed by what she was doing and how she was living. I knew, like, okay, I got to join the Peace Corps. So when I got my MFA, instead of getting a studio and starting to work and getting shows and all that, I ran off to Africa. I was stationed in Lesotho, a little mountainous kingdom inside South Africa, where I was teaching art to kids there. And then I spent a year hitchhiking all over West Africa by myself. I was 26,
wow.
best year of my life. It was
When
so
was
good.
this? Like the
This
80s or something?
was 1978.
Oh.
Is that before you were born? I never know that, but I
No,
always
I
say,
was born 71, so yeah, I
okay.
was a youngster.
I did that for a year, came back, hated being back, signed up for Peace Corps again. Then I went to Jamaica for 2years, which I really loved. And I worked with a group of wood carvers and I worked at a children's home. And it's a very small island. You can meet everyone. And I still have very dear friends there from 40 years ago. And I go back and stay in a little town on the eastern part of the island, small town, beautiful mile-long beach, no hotels, no shops, no restaurants. And the town wants it that way. They didn't want hotels and resorts.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fabulous. So
Yeah. I
it's
just recently
okay.
went my wife and I went to the Cook Islands this
Oh,
past summer.
nice.
And listeners, I don't hesitate to say it's like everyone should go there, but like it's a really remote place, takes a long time to get there, but it is so beautiful. And we went to
Yeah.
this, like, so you fly into like Rarotonga. There's only like
Mm,
one flight a week, and then we took this other flight to this other island called Aitutaki,
mm,
and it's kind of there's an island, but also an atoll, and there's only like a couple thousand people in the whole area, and the people are just so friendly and so nice. And I remember like talking to them, and they're like, do you guys get like cruise ships or because there's only like
mm.
four flights a day, and each plane only has like 25 people or or something, and they're like, yeah, we get like one maybe once a year or something. And they're like, yeah, we're thinking about, we want to like improve the harbor so we like have like cruise ships come. And I was like, no, no, you don't. No, no,
No.
no. They're like, but we could use like the business and this and
Mm.
that. And we're like, it's they were just telling them stories of like different places, like like Venice or Barcelona or Santorini, like many other places that are just overrun, like with tourism and just.
Venice closed one of their docks because, it was so gross, like by St. Mark's Square or something very interesting. There was a dock nearby, and these tons of tourists would pour off the boats and run in there and leave trash and, check it out and then leave all their, I mean, do you believe this? You would, I'm sorry,
Mhm,
Americans and trash, don't get me started. That you would even go on a cruise ship to me is like,
mhm,
to my mind, I'm like a real traveler. I would, like my West Africa year, I stayed with Africans the whole time. I hitchhiked around. I
mhm,
was open to ideas, go visit my auntie in this village, go do this. I didn't stay in resorts or hotels, and I detest cruise ships. To me, that's like the most appalling and unsustainable way to travel. They dump a ton of shit into the oceans. They use a lot of fuel to get people around, and I'm sorry, that's not traveling. You hang
mhm,
out on this cruise ship with its amusement park and gym and swimming pools and all that stupid crap they have now on cruise ships with a bunch of other annoying Americans. And then you
mhm.
jump off in some town for a couple hours and run around and take pictures and look at it. And then you think, oh, yeah, I've been to Rome. Hardly. Really, I think they're completely disgusting. You couldn't pay me to go on a cruise. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, I heard, I don't know. I think this might have been a story Larry told me many years ago. I was wondering if you knew like what the
Uh-oh.
the truth of this was, but like I think he was saying that somebody had proposed like something about like some ship, or I don't know if it's like an aircraft carrier or something, but they're like, yeah, like there's this opportunity to buy this like ship, and then like it was the idea of like Burning Man at sea or or something. But I mean, Larry was kind of
Man,
like interesting, but you know,
I
uh
hadn't heard that.
yeah, I don't know. I think it was like early 2000s or
Yeah.
something. But like, yeah, Burning Cruise, like I don't
No.
I don't know about that.
Well, I have to say, of course, thanks, Larry. Every day I say thanks, Larry, because Larry helped me realize that I was a better curator than maker of art and freed me from the feeling that oh, I have to make art. What am I going to do?
Hmm.
To, oh, I can help other people make their art. So for me, it was like me turned into we, which is so much better than I think just being self-absorbed in your own thing. So I
Hmm.
suddenly became absorbed in other people's art and helping promote it, helping them get grants and build their art. And it was so satisfying to me. And I feel like, because of Valeria, I've had this fabulous 25-year career in service to a big global creative community. I've worked with artists from all over the world. I'm in touch with many of them. I've traveled to visit them. Most of the people in my life, of course, came to me because of Burning Man, not all of them, but
Hmm.
when you're involved in the, and you're really in it and as a staff member for years, of course, a lot of your friends are burners and you meet a lot of people there that are very interesting.
So you've
So I'm just
retired
grateful.
from working with the organization and stuff, but I mean, I mean, is your retirement just going to be pulling weeds or, I mean,
Apparently. No, I've been retired for about a year now, and
yeah,
when my
what's
kids
next for
came
you?
up here, I thought, Ellen, I'm retired now. I did all that stuff. I'm just gonna garden and read books all day. And then I thought, no, maybe that's not enough. So I'm looking into volunteering at the Petaluma Arts Center, and there's another group up the road, the Sonoma Wildlife Rescue. They take volunteers, and that and animal rescue stuff interests me a lot. And there's another group in Petaluma that works with prisoners and overlooked populations and making public art and stuff. So I'm checking into all that stuff. And then other days I feel like, nah, I don't want to volunteer for anything. I just want to pull weeds.
Well, you might keep your toe in the water with in the Burning Man like art world, or
In a way, yeah. Like they have these teas, high teas every other Thursday, which is really fun. It's at 5 o'clock and they have a delicious food that Mel provides, who's the office manager, Coyote's wife. She's the best manager we've ever had. She's really great. Just has all this great food all the time and she really takes care of everybody.
hmm.
So I went to the tea on Thursday with Beto, my husband, because Terry Pratt was speaking, who's the Profiles in Dust filmmaker, and he's a good friend of ours, and we've visited him a few times and quite fond of him. So we drove into the city for that. So that was fun. And I'll keep going in for the teas occasionally, or if there's special events. And they had a really wonderful party for me. My farewell party, my God, was that overwhelming. It was really good. And I had a nice friend there who videotaped the whole thing and took photos, and that was really very nice.
Fun.
Because I was
S-
the first 25-year staff member to leave. Because the only other people that have been around that long are Will and Crimson, Marion, Harley, Danger Ranger. And they don't really work at the office anymore. They're kind of semi-retired.
Yeah, I guess Andy
Marion's the only
Grace
one
kind
who's
of
deep in it. Yeah,
she,
Andy, she's quite active.
yeah, but she sort of came and went. Well, now she's back,
Yeah,
right?
she was
Yeah,
gone for a while, and then she came back. But I've known
yeah.
her for, 30 years or something.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, this kind of naturally gets to our last question: Burning Man's impact and influence on your life.
Oh my God. I don't know what the hell else I would have done if I hadn't worked for Burning Man for 25 years. I'd stopped making art. I was making jewelry. I had a small business. I was in the street artist program, but I didn't like the business because I had to make multiples of the same thing. And I just like making one of a kind, goofy stuff and pretty big and weird and probably not. I had to tone my stuff down a lot to
Hmm.
have it in
Well, when you
stores.
said you moved from New York to San Francisco and you met Miss P, and then she introduced you, like I mean, was that pretty much like your circle of friends?
Yeah, it was. I had a few other friends, but then because of Burning Man and P's gatherings, that those people all became my community, and then even more so when I started working for them. So I would say, yeah, like almost everybody in my life in San Francisco came to me through Burning Man. A few others, not so much, but definitely Burning Man. Well, the interesting thing for me was like in New York, I didn't have a community. There's very little sense of community there. There were other artists working, but everybody's kind of doing their own thing and nothing like this community. So suddenly it was Larry's vision that we would have solid community, and that's what people in American culture lack, which is true. Unless you grow up in a small town and you stay there, yeah, then you have a great sense of community. But where do, people typically go to college, move to a city, get a job, and then who's your community? It's not your coworkers, they're just people you work with. Maybe if you're a Christian and you go to church, that's community for sure. But that was Larry's whole thing. Otherwise, where do we get community? And that's why he started Burning Man, because he wanted to create community, and he certainly did. So for me, it was great. It's like, oh my God, I know all these people, and they all know me, and they know what I'm up to, and I know what they're up to. I never had that in New York. No.
Hmm.
When you live in New York, 30, 40 years, you'll have some sort of little community. But and the Burning Man community in New York now has created a community there too. So that's pretty interesting. But yeah, I mean that is a classic problem in American culture, I think. Not in small towns, but in cities. It's like, where do you get community?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you must. I don't know if you're familiar with the Robert Putnam, Bowling Alone.
Oh yes, that was a big influence on Larry, Bowling Alone.
Oh
Big
yeah,
influence. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The whole concept of like the social capital. Um, it's funny because before Bowling Alone even came out, because I met my now wife. We went to school at the University of Vermont in Burlington,
Hmm.
Vermont, and I think it was like in the winter of like 93 or 94 or something. My wife was like, back then it was my girlfriend, which she's like, oh yeah, there's this lecturer from, is he from Harvard or something? Like, it's just like, it's like a small little lecture. And I don't know, there's only like 8 people. And we went to it and it was talking about like this book he was writing about social capital. And it was Robert Putnam.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I remember like that was the first time hearing about that, and I was like, "This is really interesting," And then I remember like when the book came out, and like and then in between, then like Burning Man kind of I went to Burning Man, and then that sort of happened. I was like, "Yeah." So I think like in my own separate way, like I just kind of got like all just kind of intertwined, and the whole thinking and then for me, but yeah, it was just interesting, like that Larry was like that was such a big inspiration for him too. Did
Well,
he
that's
ever
one
meet
thing in
him?
America. Pardon?
Did he ever meet Robert Putnam or?
I'm not sure if he did. That I don't know, but it is true. Like in American culture, the lack of community in cities is a problem, and Larry thought up a good way to deal with it. Very interesting. What I'm sure he had no idea back in '95 that Burning Man would eventually have 80,000 people every year, and we'd have you know uh, regional groups on 6 continents and 100 regional events, and
Yeah,
yeah, it really got a lot bigger than he expected.
maybe he was just thinking like I just want to have this bonfire on the beach and maybe make a couple of new friends.
Well, it's true. You will make friends. If you go to Burning Man, you'll definitely make new friends with people. And like I say, yeah, it's changed, but the original stuff is still there. There's just another bunch of other stuff on top of it. And, pop culture takes over everything eventually, and it's just how it works. So,
Hmm.
and it is 40 years old, so
Yeah,
let's not
yeah,
forget that. But really, I think Larry was correct to say that the future of Burning Man is the regionals, and people love them. We went to Unscrews once, and just the small scale of it is really nice, and the fact
yeah,
it's not in the desert.
yeah. Well, I think a lot of it is it's people say it's like, oh, it's like Burning Man like back in the day, or they're just like, oh, if you want like Burning Man like
Yes,
in 1993
yeah.
or
True.
whatever,
A
like
lot of it is scale, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so you'll still be around. You still might haunt the playa here or there, or maybe
Oh
a
yeah,
regional
absolutely.
event.
No, like I said, I'm still volunteering, doing some of the work I did at part-time as the archivist, and yeah, I certainly go to decompression and maybe unscrews again. Thank you for mentioning that unscrews Facebook thing. I'm gonna look at that right after we finish here.
Yeah,
I thought the
yeah,
tickets were up and that was it, and we'd never go. But I like that one.
yeah. All right.
So you
Let
said this is for what is it called? Shadows of the Man.
the show is called The Shadow of the Man. Yeah.
So can I listen to the show when you actually broadcast it?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So this episode.
You probably don't know when.
No, I have my little spreadsheet
Oh, of course you
here.
do.
So, Ladybee, you're
Spreadsheet.
going to be May 18th.
Oh, good to know. So you're
Yeah.
just going to take quotes from what I said and you said, and you edit the whole thing, I guess. You just
Honestly, I'm super lazy. I try not to do any editing at
okay,
all.
good. So whatever I said is going to be up there.
Yeah, yeah. I just kind of cut and paste it. But
Okay, Monday, May 18th, is that correct?
yeah, I'll let you know like before it
Yeah,
comes out.
let's be in touch.
All
Cool.
right. Well, we've reached about
What time
the
is
end.
your show on?
Oh, it's just like it's a podcast, so it just kind of comes on. Like
Okay.
you just kind of subscribe to it. I'll
Right.
send you the link.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you for the interview.
By the way, this should not be on the interview. So
Well,
turn
hold
off.
on. Well, we can talk a little bit afterwards. But
Okay.
so thank you so much for the interview.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this show, please subscribe, rate, and review it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. The more reviews the show has, the more likely it will even appear in search results. Also, please tell a friend and share this show with anyone that you think might like it. Word of mouth reaches quite far, especially in the Burning Man community. If you would like to contact us, please send an email to shadowofthemanpodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow Shadow of the Man on social media at Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, X, and YouTube. The links for all of these are available at shadowoftheman.com. Feel free to use any of these social media accounts to provide any feedback you might have. Your thoughts on the show are greatly appreciated. Thank you, and see you soon for a new episode of The Shadow of the Man.
Thank you for listening to this latest show. We have to make another one, so gotta go. Don't worry, for next month we already have one in the can. Very soon you'll be listening to a new Shadow of the Man.